Hi, boys and girls. I know, I look funny. I am not in work clothes. That's because I'm getting ready to go to bed and I love to read a good book before I go to bed. And I thought you might like to hear this too. So I found this book in my book bin and it's called Math in the Backyard. And today, after I read this to you, you can go outside and think about where you see math outside. And we could talk about that later, and I'll remind you at the end of this little lesson, okay? Let me just turn up the light a little bit. I'm getting all ready for bed, so it's turning the lights down. You had a long day at school today, so now it's time to relax. Math in the Backyard by Ellen Weiss. Math in the Backyard. Boys and girls, do you remember what this part of the book is called? And there's the title right there, the table of contents. And this tells me where I can find information on what pages. But I'm just going to start at the beginning because I want to read the whole thing. Okay. Word hunt. Look for these words as you read. They will be in bold, dark letters, right? Diagram, line, multiplication, poles, sunrise, sunset, and a table. Not a table that you eat off of, more like a graph with data, okay? So let's see if we can find those words in here. A yard of math. Let's go outside. We can have lots of fun in our backyard. Let's see how many ways we can use math. How is she using math here? We use math when we play hopscotch. Okay, and then we'll talk about how when we meet live and we talk about the story. Real quick, before we get into the math lesson, we'll talk about how she's using math during hopscotch. We're going to sleep in our tent tonight. First, we need to put our tent together. We'll work together to put up the tent. We have a diagram. It shows how the tent poles fit together. There are two sizes of poles, short and long. Look at the white arrow on the tent on the next page. It points to a line. Does that line show a short pole or a long pole? Okay, compare the poles here, here, okay. We will go to sleep after sunset. Sunset is when the sun goes down and it starts to get dark. Sunrise is when the sun comes up in the morning. The sun will wake us up. Okay. Do you remember what these are called in a book when you see a word and an arrow's pointing to it? A label, right? A label, boys and girls. It gets dark outside soon after the sun sets. That looks fun. Maybe some of you have camped out in the backyard. We want to know what time the sun will wake us up. We look at a table to see when the sunrise and sunset will be. Do you think we'll sleep past 6 o'clock in the morning? Okay, so the sunrise, that means it comes up at 5:44 a.m. That's really early. And the sunset sets at night at 8:22 p.m. And then here's your label with the word table. We woke up early. Today we will plant the garden. We're going to plant pumpkins. We're making holes in the ground for the seeds. How is she using math while planting a garden? We will talk about that. We need to dig one hole for every plant we grow. We need to dig a hole for each of our seeds. We have 2 packets of seeds. Each packet has 5 seeds. How many holes do we need? You can use multiplication or addition to find the answer. Okay, so she said there's 2 packets and there's 5 seeds in each. So your addition sentence would be 5 plus 5. Okay, and when you add 5 and 5, you're adding it 2 times. So that would be 2 times 5. And 5 plus 5 equal the same answer. We'll talk about that. So how many holes does she need for those seeds? At last, our planting is done. Now the worms are working. Worms are good for the soil. Look at the worms in the picture. I wonder how many worms are in the whole garden. When you wonder about how many or how much something is, you're kind of estimating. So look in this small spot here. How many worms are there? You know, Miss Benito, it's always backwards, okay? So estimate how many worms would be in a garden. We'll talk about that. And then in the back, you have your glossary of new bold words that you learned. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our Math Outside book or Math in the Backyard, and we will discuss it later. All right, have a good day. Bye.